You're listening to the Young Buck Old Buck podcast, presented by Forest and Sky, sponsored by Chops & Co. Public Market.
There we go, heads up.
Stretch him up. Dead bird. Dead bird. Get it, Sky, get it.
Good job, buddy. Good flopping.
You're listening to the Young Buck Old Buck podcast. I'm your host, Young Buck Daniel DeForge, and this is not Bruce with me. This is Mr. Mitchell Belson. Mitchell, how you doing?
Doing good. How about you, Daniel?
Doing great. Thanks for joining us on the podcast this evening. Old Buck himself is out of commission. He mentioned he was having a procedure done. He had a deviated septum. He looks like Squidward currently. I have seen pictures. We may post a picture in this video if he doesn't kill me. Who knows? You may see that on your screen right about now. All right, but we're going to get into things with Mitchell here. Mitchell is now a member of Forest and Sky and has been since around May, I think, kind of the beginning of summer. And Mitchell, if you had one passion in the hunting world, what would that passion be?
Bow hunting.
Bow hunting. All right, you hear it,
Yes,
folks.
sir.
So we are going to dive into that passion on this episode. First, why don't you tell the audience what bow do you shoot and how long have you been shooting that particular setup?
Okay, so right now I'm currently shooting a Matthews Lift 33. Although right now I'm having the typical Matthew Lift limb crack. So,
Really?
that happened to me of all times last week. So it's in the shop. Hopefully get it back before deer season.
Oh my goodness.
But I bought that bow back, it's probably December of 2024. Been a great bow. I love that thing. Before that, shot the Matthews V3, and so that's kind of the backup bow I'm shooting right now. So
So you said the typical limb crack, that's just a known problem with these bows?
So from my understanding, the Matthews Lift, they made like an early model Matthews Lift, and those limbs would have problems just splintering a little bit. So Matthews, great company. They take it right in under warranty. They actually extended the warranty to, usually it's just if you're the original buyer. Mm-hmm. They extended it out to if you're a second hand, third hand, they'll cover it no matter what. So they acknowledged that, they had some faulty issues, and they actually upgraded the limbs to a different material, stronger. So get it taken care of.
How did you notice that? Was there a certain noise that happened, or?
No, I was just out there doing kind of my daily reps, and the one day I just go to grab it by the top of the limbs, and I get stuck literally in the finger, and I'm like, man, what was that, And I look down, and it's literally just got a splinter
Oh my goodness.
out the side. So crazy enough, my wife had a crossbow that we were shooting with a buddy, and that limb did it probably 2 weeks before then, so I was kind of aware of what it looks like when it was looking, or when it happened, and sure enough, it did it to mine 2 weeks later. So just like crazy.
Wow. Now you mentioned these daily reps. Kind of paint a picture for the audience here, because I've shot with you. I've seen your garage, and I know a little bit about you. So kind of just paint a picture of what does archery look like in your life, and what kind of time have you dedicated towards it?
So, I try to shoot daily no matter what, even if it's just one or two shots. And in the winter, I've got more time. As a farmer, we're not doing as much. So even when it's cold out, I've got either a space heater in the garage, just trying to shoot a few, whether it's just one or two or maybe 30 or, who knows. But as we get closer and closer to whether it be spring turkey or fall, I try to, like, first thing in the morning when I wake up before work, grab my bow, fling. I usually have like 6 in my quiver, shoot those real quick, go to work, come back for lunchtime, shoot maybe 6, 12 more, we'll see. Then maybe not every week, but close to, on Sundays I got the day to myself, and after church and spending time with family, I try to launch kind of more that day, maybe shoot 30 that day. And I'm not just like typical on a every day, I'm just like go out at 30, maybe 40 yards, and that's kind of the shot. But on Sunday, I try to change it up, change angles, maybe go from 20 yards out to 80, maybe 100, just making sure that that bow's dialed in. Now and then I got a tree stand set up in my backyard, so I climb up there, see what it's like shooting out of the tree stand. And that's kind of what I try to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And tell the audience a little bit about, you have a bow press, and you've been fixing bows, and how did you get into that, and how did you kind of start that journey?
Yeah, so my first Matthews bow was the year I got married, is in 2021. Wasn't near what I was into it today. Just it was a nice bow. I like shooting it now and then, but as I started getting more and more into bow hunting, I started doing these out-of-state hunts. I was like, I gotta be determined and ready no matter what, and I want to know the ins and outs of my bow, that if anything goes wrong, I know exactly what it is. I started going to some bow shops and just wanted to learn. I was asking them every question I can, and just now and then I just want to feel totally confident, like I knew that it was the best ability. I would kind of watch videos from people online that I really look up to, and the bow shops, I don't want to put any bow shop down. I mean, absolutely, I appreciate everything they do for the archery community, but I just wanted mine to be tuned that much more and be spot on. I kind of get picky with it. And so I started just kind of tinker around doing anything I could, and I actually ended up taking a bow tune school online course and learning just everything about it, and slowly just started getting the bow press and then getting draw board. Just, I made my own paper tuner, stuff like that, and kind of fell in love with just hands on the bow, working everything, knowing the ins and outs. And it kind of became addicting a little bit,
Yeah, well, and I can attest to your skill, because I was having some target panic issues with my Matthews lift, and I was changing releases a little bit. And I think because I changed release, my kisser button was off, and we ended up having to move my D loop to kind of just get more comfortable and in a better position, and that ended up really helping and solving things. So it was super convenient, to kind of have you and your skill set be able to take care of that. And we've talked and kind of dreamt a little bit for the future of, as we do this Forest and Sky thing, and hopefully we're getting youth involved and mentoring youth, being able to kind of use that skill set of yours to bless others in the local community.
Absolutely.
Yeah, super cool. Well, hey, you were supposed to go to TAC with us this year. And in fact, leading up to it, we were getting stoked and we were shooting together, and you were making equipment purchases and everything. And because that was going to be your first ever TAC experience. Well, then what happened, Mitchell?
Man, Daniel texted me, invited me to TAC to join him, and I don't know what it was. A couple days later, I was working up on some irrigation, fell off, and broke my arm.
Oh, my goodness. Mitchell's text me, too, was, all right, so I got to go in and get a cast. As soon as I get home, I'm going to try to draw my bow back and see where we're at. I'm thinking to myself, this guy's crazy. But that cast didn't stay on very long.
No. Man, they couldn't get me. They put me in the splint, and that was like a Thursday, and TAC was on Sunday or Saturday, Sunday, something like that. And they were like, we can't get the hard cast on you till Tuesday. I'm like, there's no way I can pull this bow back with just the splint. Ended up getting the cast on and made some adjustments, turned my bow way down on poundage, and got it back with my cast, started shooting with the cast, and just wasn't convenient. So I wouldn't say I recommend it, but, I'd probably do it again. I ended up cutting my cast off 2 or 3 weeks early, something like that. So far, so good.
This man is dedicated, folks. Dedicated. All right. Well, hey, let's dive into the beginning of your story. How has bow hunting, how did they get introduced to you? And tell us just a little bit about your hunting journey.
Yeah. My dad, first of all, I wouldn't be in the hunting where I'm at today without him. My dad was major hunter ever since I could ever remember. He's done multiple out-of-state hunts for Canada caribou, Wyoming elk, and Nebraska mule deer, which I got to tag along for that, which was awesome. But shot some really nice whitetails locally. So yeah, I mean, I was out in the deer stand since I could remember with him. My dad was compound bow hunter up until I was about 13. This was right when the crossbows came out, got real popular. So I had gun hunted, I don't know what age I was, pretty young. And once the crossbows came out, he got me set up on one of them, and that was awesome. That's what we started using. So that's kind of how I got into the hunting. I shot a few deer with a gun, 20 gauge, stuff like that. But then the 450s came out, and my first, so kind of a funny story with my dad. Everything's always been like, gives me kind of a motivation to get something done, you know, whether it be in sports. He would always, okay, if you score this many points, get this many rebounds, then I'll do this for you or whatever. So with bow hunting, I was like, I got to like 15 years old, and I'm like, Dad, I want a compound bow hunt. And he's like kind of joking with me, well, you got to be able to pull back a bow, you know, it's got to be a heavy poundage to kill a deer. I'm like, okay, you know, what do you mean? He's like, well, if you can pull back my bow, then we'll get you a compound bow. And my dad at the time, he's like 6'1", really long guy, 31-inch draw, like 75-pound bow.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm like just this tiny little kid, you know. And so I'm out there every day just trying to pull that thing back. And I was out there probably every day for months, you know. Just finally one day, though, I pull it back with my left hand. I can't even get it back with my right hand. And so I show him, he's like, no way, you know. And I end up shooting his bow for a while. No release, just off the fingers, left hand on a right hand bow.
Oh my goodness.
And
this is like the scene, you know, where the sword is in the stone.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
can finally pull it
Yeah,
out.
That's what it felt like, you know. I was like, man, I'm doing it, you know.
Yeah.
So I think for my 16th birthday he took me out to Cabela's, and we bought just the cheapest, I think it was a bear bow. It came with quiver, stabilizer, sights, everything, like $250, you know. Which compared to Matthews nowadays is just, it's crazy. But you know, I love that bow, though. It was kind of what got me into it, and I practiced all the time that first summer, and ended up shooting a small 10-point that fall, and just fell in love with it, you know. But I still wasn't major into the hunting until I was probably 21 or so. That's when I got my first Matthews.
Okay.
So.
Now walk us through that first kill with that bow.
Yeah, just the reward of it was awesome. That this I'm hunting. My dad lets me hunt his kind of favorite stand. It's just, we call it the racetrack. It's kind of right off of some corn, and just in the middle of a woods. But then we've got a wide open path all the way around the center patch of woods, and I'm hunting on it. And sure enough, here comes this 10-point. And I had failed many times. You know, there's so much to learn with a compound bow. Used to be, you know, you get the crossbow up, you aim, you pull the trigger, you're good, you know. So I'm having to learn, you know, okay, draw back when they're not looking, before they get to me, just all that, you know, stuff going through your head. So this one comes, and I'm like playing it in my head how it's going to go. I'm like, okay, there's a tree right here. As soon as he gets behind there, I'm drawing back. So he did, drew back. And he came out, couple steps, stopped. He was just barely quartered at 15 yards. Pulled the release, whacked right through him. Arrow went into the ground, and he took off. And, of course, I'm calling my dad, and
Did
he
you have
comes
the shakes?
out. Oh, yeah, you know. I still get them to this day. It's just like, oh, my goodness. But the thing, another funny story, the thing that the crossbow did or the compound bow did for me, I would get major target panic with anything with a scope, because my first gun was a 20 gauge, but that thing just kicked.
Yeah.
And the first time I shot it, scope nails me in the face, you know.
Oh, man.
And ever since then, it's like, even with the crossbows with no kick, I'm looking through it, and as soon as I pull the trigger, I'm squeezing my eyes. And it's like the compound bow is the first thing that I didn't have to like
worry about.
Yeah, I'm not flinching. So yeah, it was just, so anyway, that deer, you know, goes about 40, 50 yards, and we find it, and it was awesome, you know.
Yeah, super cool. Now, tell me, what has been your favorite bow hunt so far?
So that one's right up there, just the first compound bow kill. But the best one by far now is last year. My dad and I went out Nebraska mule deer hunting, and I took my last year's model Matthews bow out, and I was able to spot and stalk on a 4x4 mule deer.
Now, you told me this story before, and I think one of the things that always stands out to me is what tag did you draw for that hunt?
Yeah. So the only time me and my dad could get out on this hunt is during firearm season.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the tag I got. You know, it's in November. It's opening day. Everyone's out there in their hunter orange. And I was like, I'm dedicated. I'm bow hunting. So.
And this is like some serious time and resources to get out.
Oh, for sure.
Get on this hunt. And you draw a firearm tag,
Yeah.
but you choose to take your bow with you.
Yeah. And kind of what led up to that, I was able to go out for 2 years. Last year was the second year. The first year, I shot a mule deer with a 30-06. And it was great. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I went out there. My buddies are like, hey, there's a nice buck over here. Come on over. And so I get up there. I prop the gun up. And I wait for him to stand up as he's laying down sleeping. He stands up, pull the trigger. He drops. Story's over. I'm just like, man, I need something more than that. And so I'm just going over and over like, it's a lot of money though, you know, and as a young guy, every dollar's worth something, you know. It's just like, I don't want to go out with a bow, reduce my odds and come back with nothing, but it's just deep down, it's like I want to so bad. I'll never forget, I was watching a hunting video, and right before I'm getting ready to go on this second hunt, they say a saying called, the greater the sacrifice, the greater the reward. And I'm just like, that's it. I'm taking the bow, because I don't care what I got to do. I'm going to get something with my bow. That's my dream. So that summer ended up training like crazy, running, lifting, shooting. And because I read it was like 25% of bow hunters are successful or end up tagging. I'm like, man, that's a low percentage. So I got to do whatever I can to be part of that 25%, which ended up getting lucky. But
yeah, now walk us through that spot and stalk.
Yeah, so the way me and my dad like to do it, we're out in the sandhills of Nebraska. We got some private land to hunt on out there through a buddy, and it's just thousands of acres of, it looks like wasteland. I mean, it's just dunes with shrub grass. And so my dad shot just a monster of a mule deer that morning. I mean, we walk out, 10 minutes later we spot it, he shoots it. It was crazy. And then about 3-4 hours later, he meets me back out there after getting his deer taken care of and back to the cabin. And we just kind of walk around for maybe 15-20 minutes, and then we sit and just glass. It's like every time we sit and glass, something shows up. I mean, you just don't expect it. But then, so that's what happened. We're just kind of sitting there. We're talking 10-15 minutes. I'm like, something's moving on that hill. He's like, yeah. And we're like, that's a buck. That's a nice one. And he's like 250 yards at the time away. And my dad's shooting with a 7mm. I've got my bow. He's like, you know, we could get into 200. Are you sure you don't want to use my gun? I'm like, kind of second guessing for a second. Like, man, I might not get that opportunity again. I'm like, no, I don't want to. Let's just see if we can get in on him. I'm like, okay, let's come up with a strategy. So I'm like, he's right on the bottom of that hill. If he goes up over it and he's with a couple does, I'm going to sprint up there, see if I can peek over the hill and catch him in time. So that was the plan. And sure enough, that buck goes right up over the hill. And as soon as I kind of see the butt just going down, I'm like, here we go. And I sprint up to the top of that hill. Once I get there, I'm just like slowly creeping over the top of that hill and just treating it like he's like 5 yards on the other side, just being very careful.
Yeah.
And I see the doe that he's with at like 20 yards probably. And I'm just like, okay, where is he? He's got to be here. And I just kind of barely peek up higher, and there he is at like 25 yards. And I think he saw me right away. And I'm like, oh no. So I'm just sitting there as steady as I can be. I've kind of got some shrub grass in front of me. And I'm like, oh, what do I do? I can't draw. He's going to see that. So I just sit there, and he starts walking towards me. And I'm just going, oh my goodness, he's got to be like 15 yards at this point. And he looks away. And I'm like, okay. So I draw back, and he looks again, and he's literally facing me. I've got no shot. I'm just holding it there, kind of crouched down. And I'm just like, it felt like forever, but it's probably like a minute. I'm just at full draw, and he finally starts going away from me. I get a broadside shot on him, release, and he drops in like 5 yards. And I just turn around. My dad's watching from like 300 yards back, and he's just like on his phone. I think he was trying to video or whatever, but I just like stand up on the hill. I'm like jumping up and down and everything. And he comes running over. He's like, what? You know, I'm like, I got him. He's right there today. He's like, no way. You know, he's like kind of doubted, you know, the whole bow thing from the get go. And I'm like, Dad, he's right there. And he, you know, it was just awesome. We're hugging, high fiving. It was just one of the best experiences by far.
Oh, that's an incredible story. Yeah. I mean, it takes a special man to go out that far, draw a gun tag, and just want to achieve that. And yeah, kudos to you. That's awesome. Well, hey, we're gonna hear from our sponsors real quick, and then we will be right back.
We like to thank our sponsors, Chops & Co. Public Market. Chops & Co. specializes in locally grown, responsibly raised, high-quality pork products, direct from their farm to your table. Located in Jones, Michigan, give them a call at 269-244-1999.
All right, Mitchell, well, you just hinted at the fact that, well, you didn't hint at it, you just came out and said it. Your dad has had a huge influence on your bow hunting journey, and he was kind of what kicked you off into hunting. I have a feeling that he's taught you more than just bow hunting. Here we talk about, you know, the relationship between young buck, old buck, discipleship, mentorship. How has that relationship just played a role in your faith journey?
Absolutely. So my dad, one of the godliest men I know, honestly, just very involved with our local church, Sunday school teacher, did youth group, led that for many years, just has such a heart for the Lord. But the one thing that just stands out is like he never got burnt out from any of that. It was just like, and you can just see, we talk about the passion, maybe some, you know, passion for bow hunting, passion for this or that, but his passion, as much as he loves hunting, you could see even in through hunting, it's God, you know. And so I've just always looked up to my dad for that, and he's taught me so many good lessons. And seeing that passion, just, you know, it's genuine. But so spending so much time with my dad in the woods and just throughout everything, I've been able to see that, because it's like a lot of people, you know, you might shoot a deer and maybe don't find it right away or whatever it might be, can get really discouraged, can get really, you know, whatever the case may be. But his first response every time is, okay, let's just stop and let's pray about this or whatever it is. And it's just like, you can always see, no matter where his mind or whatever the circumstance, that's always his go-to. And that's just played such a big role in my life, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and now you're a father, and so talk to us a little bit about, you know, how do you plan to take some of those things that your dad has taught you and you experienced with your dad and pass that on to your kids?
Yeah, Mason, my wife, we've always talked about this. You know, there's so many kids these days going astray, and we want to do whatever we can to lead by example. And that's the biggest thing, that my dad is always led by example. He didn't have to even say a word. I just knew. And that's kind of what both me and my wife have the common goal of, as we raise Skylar, we want to lead by example. And kind of like the Apostle Paul tells, I think it's Timothy, or follow me as I follow Christ. And that's what we want to do with our kids too. Like, follow me, and if we fall astray, you keep on that straight path, but hopefully we can lead by example.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, and so, you know, you've had this relationship with your dad, and you've shared the common bond of hunting. So hunting has obviously played a pivotal role in your life, but probably more than just bow hunting. You know, how has hunting in general, your time outdoors, you know, maybe even the preparedness or the training that you do, how has that shaped your faith journey as well? Yeah,
so I talked about earlier how I really trained hard for that first, you know, out-of-state bow hunt. And, you know, that was great, really rewarding. And as I go into this 2025 hunting season, I start getting into my training again, and I'm just can't help but think, like, okay, this is great, but my mind needs to be on God. And by me training, am I just doing this for myself, or what's the purpose in this? Is this taking too much of my thoughts and time? So I just really was thinking and praying hard, and I had a couple of verses in my devotions that came up and just really inspired me, encouraged me. And the one being Colossians 3:23, which says, whatever you're doing, do it wholeheartedly for God and not for men. And the other one being Philippians 3:14, which says, I press on towards the prize of the high calling, which is Christ Jesus. So with both of those verses, they just tell me, like, okay, no matter what you're doing, do it wholeheartedly. Like, don't do anything just halfway. So if you're going to do it with everything you got, but it doesn't stop there. Mm-hmm. It goes on, do it for Christ Jesus. So I'm changing my mindset to, okay, this isn't for me, this isn't for the hunt. There's a bigger picture here, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think we've even talked about that on the podcast before a little bit of, I'm a firm believer in, well, yes, do I feel like God sometimes calls people into a specific place and role? Yes, I don't doubt that. But I am a firm believer that the primary calling that he places in your life is to follow him and to glorify him in all things.
Absolutely.
And, if the Lord calls me to be a father and a husband and to work full-time in ministry, and he also lays these passions on my heart, hunting, kind of like the picture that you're painting here, if you're a great bow hunter but a terrible father, you're not glorifying God.
Absolutely.
And in the same way, if you can take the passions the Lord has put on your heart and use that to glorify him, that's the sweet spot, which is kind of how this whole thing got birthed, because we have a passion for the outdoors and we want to take that and glorify him. And that's why it was so exciting to bring you on with the Forest and Sky team, because I saw that even just from some distant interactions, but then also, on your social media and things. And so just to kind of hear your heart and get to know you at a deeper level, and even just hear some of these stories here that you shared this evening, it's just it's a great testimony. And so excited for your trip coming up. You have another trip out to Nebraska this year, yeah?
Yep, we do. And luckily it got squeezed in.
November?
Yep.
Okay.
Opening day.
Now is the gun going in the truck?
It's not.
he had the taste of the bow kill in Nebraska, and he's not going back.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you before we wrap up: is that Nebraska situation, is that primarily like your spot and stalking, or are you ever sitting in a stand?
Where we're at, if you can imagine Silver Lake sand dunes or something like that, that's what it is, but covered in just shrub grass. There is not trees for miles. I mean, now and then in a low spot there'll be some trees, and now and then you'll get a whitetail down in there, but for the most part it's wide open country.
Wow.
So spot and stalk, and so much different than around here, but they both have their spot,
And you mentioned like physically training for hunts like this, because you can't just go from the couch to something like this.
Yeah, the thing is again, that 25% success rate, I'm thinking, okay, I got to be prepared to go farther than anyone else, and I got to be, the more ground I can cover, the better my chances of seeing them are. So, and then you got the whole other aspect of once you are there. It sounds funny, another impact from my dad was like back in sports, you sprint the court and then you shoot free throws, so you're practicing. So little funny thing I do now and then is like go sprint on the treadmill, then go shoot the bow now, just because it's like you get there, you hiked all this way, and then that adrenaline's there, and now you got to make this perfect shot. So just trying to be that preparedness. And
that's why I love TAC, because it puts you in some of those situations.
Absolutely.
I mean, we did this uphill mountain climb that absolutely killed me, and then it was a 70-yard shot, and like there's people behind you, so you can't sit there and catch your breath. Like, it's designed to kind of put you in some of those high pressure situations. So but my cousin has said the same thing. He goes out and he hunts Wyoming, and he tried to bring some buddies with him from the fire department who maybe aren't in the best shape, and they were done day one and like would make 2 or 3 miles in and just be absolutely beat, and he would go in 8-10 miles and kill and then drag the animal out.
Oh, of course. And that's the whole other aspect, is like once you get the animal, yeah, get it out of there. It's. I love the challenge though.
I just purchased have you heard of rucking?
Yeah, the ruck bags.
Yep.
Oh man,
I just purchased that because I'm trying to get in shape for some of these hunts as well.
Yep.
So awesome. Well, hey Mitchell, thanks for joining the podcast this week. It was great to have you as a guest. If you're listening, make sure you pray for Old Buck that he can have a speedy recovery. Keep praying for Sid as well. His granddaughter, she is down in Texas right now seeking treatment for cancer. So keep her in your prayers. We do have the GoFundMe page for that on our Facebook page, so you can check that out. And if you feel so inclined to donate to them, please do so. As always, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, share. We really appreciate it. We're trying to get this thing rolling. Shout out to our man Todd behind the camera making this happen. And we will catch you next week.